it's you. Hey, come on in here. Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast about geocaching from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the Great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocachers and geocaches from here and all around the world. So while you're struggling to breathe in the worst air quality in the world, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
It's bad in Seattle this week, but tonight we're not talking about the smoke and the weather. We're talking about caching with kids with our guest, ShadowDragn1 from the Geocache Adventures podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. And live audience, welcome to you as well. We're always glad you're here to contribute comments, chatter, commentary, you name it. We love hearing from you. You make the show fun. It is Thursday night. I'm Wits End, and it's time to bring in our rain-drenched Rhesus. Haven't seen the rain yet, but I think it's coming. Some say all his favorite outfits are pleather. And others say he's harder to follow than a mouse through a corn maze. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hola, amigos.
¿Cómo estás?
V. Gates.
Hi.
Wow, we let him speak. Oh, yeah, we're not supposed to talk during this part. Sorry.
No.
The microphone is yours.
Is it? Well, this one is. All right. Good to be here. Good. It's Thursday night. We're here to shut down the internet. That's what we do on Thursday night. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. Yeah, when you said your favorite outfits are and started with PL, I was waiting for plaid. And it went a different direction than I was expecting. That was entertaining. Hey, before we get into any and all of the rest of that, we want to throw out a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And a thanks to Land Sharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. And Land Sharks reminds you can still use your GWXVIII code. Did you catch that code?
Aye.
Aye, Captain.
It's short for Geo Woodstock 18 if you use the GW and then 18 in Roman numerals. But that is the discount code on almost everything, and I think almost everything that's left over from Geo Woodstock, but I might be wrong. But check it out. Go to landsharks.ca, LANDSHARKZ.ca. Just plunk the code in, GWXVIII, and see if it gives you a discount on things. So, right?
You're just going to try it? Just keep adding eyes until you get the discount you're looking for.
You're welcome to try that code on any shopping website you choose. It
may
not be as effective.
I think it's going to be way more effective on landsharks.ca.
Yes, I think so.
Absolutely. So check it out there. There are discounts on product right now if you use that code. So pause the podcast. We'll still be here and see what you want to buy, and then come on back. And while you're emptying out your wallet on landsharks.ca, hey, another thing to check out. This is some cool news. I heard this morning from our other corporate Denali level sponsor. That's Gold Country Geotourism. Explore goldcountry.com. Hey, they've got an app. There is an app for that.
Wow.
And
What?
There is. It is the Gold. It apparently happened magically this morning, as far as I'm concerned, because I haven't heard about this yet. There is a Gold Country app that you should acquire. It will be awesome, and it will. The Gold Country mobile app is your complete guide to local dining, activities, attractions, shopping, and more. So you can download it from the Apple Store. You can download it from. Yes, Chris.
Is geocaching in the more?
I don't know. I think it's worth downloading the app, installing it, and finding.
I want to know more.
Then that's the app for you. And again, I said if you're on an iPhone, go to the Apple Store. If you're on an Android, go to the Google Play.
Correct.
Play Store.
Google, yeah, that thing. Go to that. Go wherever you get your apps for your phone, and it'll be there waiting for you very patiently. And if
it's
you're
because
not
it's Canadian, it's very patient.
And if you're not into apps and you're like, apps, not for me. Internet, well,
Podcasts.
internet, I don't know what you're doing here then. But anyways, the other option is, of course, as always, exploregoldcountry.com, their website, and on Facebook, facebook.com. Well, or Facebook, facebook.com because you're already on Facebook, but then look for Explore Gold Country on Facebook. And those are all the different ways that you can find out more information about our amazing corporate Denali level sponsors. And if you want to know more about supporting this very podcast, well, I'm going to encourage you to head on over to the cachingnw.com, a website, and click the Patreon link. See, I switched it around that time.
Wow, you wild man.
Keeping you on your toes.
You are a professional. You really are.
Keeping you on your toes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And apparently you don't Facebook often because, you're not sure of the address of where to go to Facebook. So.
I don't know. It just shows up on my phone.
That's because it's listening. Hey, you know what? We're listening too. And we want to listen to your glows. You may ask, what is a glow?
What is a glow?
Oh, wow.
I'll unmute and then I'll say it.
I saw it once with your lips move and no words. You were a ventriloquist.
No, I was just pretending I was using Zoom at work.
Or a bad Godzilla movie.
Has there been a Zoom meeting yet where somebody hasn't said, hey, you're muted? I don't think so. Land Monkey, you're muted. There it goes. Thank you. Now we've just brought the podcast down to the level of all Zoom meetings. This can't be good. Hey, we're talking about glow. And we want your glow. Yes, we need your glow. The glow is the geocaching log of the week because I already asked what it was and I didn't yet get to that point. But it's a geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it, perhaps you wrote it, in either case, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Now you can send an email and that's absolutely fine. But what's better is send a recording or call into 253-693-TFTC and show us how you glow. Because if you send an email, we're going to have somebody like Wits End over here read that to you or read that for you in his voice where it could be so much better in your voice. And that really didn't come off as a compliment to Wits End. So Wits End is the best cold reader in the business.
Maybe you should just let him cold read the glow now and remove the other foot from your mouth.
I'm done now. I'm going to mute myself.
It's all good. But we, you can hear me every week. I would love to hear somebody else read a glow, like the author of the glow. That'd be fun. By the way, Kitty Quest has the Gold Country app now installed on her phone. So there you go.
Of course she does. She's on top of things. She knows what's going on.
All right. Well, here, combining segments of the show with corporate Denali level sponsors and the glow, this week's glow was submitted by Mrs. Landsharks with a Z. It's Plant Man Geocache number 14. That's GC914 Alpha. Has a new log. This was logged by the Chronic Cacher. So Mrs. Landshark sent it in. It was logged by the Chronic Cacher. And this one says, did we time the tides right for this one? No, we certainly did not. Were we going to leave without an attempt on such a gorgeous October day? No way. So, it was stomach-deep freezing water in bare feet for Dad while daughter wisely stayed behind and took pictures. At least the numbness from the cold made all the barnacle cuts on the feet hurt less. And out of solidarity, daughter kept her feet in the water the whole time I was in the water to share in the suffering. Oh, what a kid. Thankfully, the cache itself was an easy find. It gets a favorite point for sure. Short, sweet glow tonight, but I can relate and feel his pain. In
Somebody earned a smiley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't a given, was it? Mm-hmm.
No, but it ties in with tonight's topic a little bit with the mention of father and daughter caching there. So that was
exactly
very clever.
Well, thank you.
It's a very
Nicely
good connection.
Oh, wait, I didn't take part in the cache find or I didn't submit it. So I shouldn't take any of the credit. But what I want
learning
you
from
guys,
me. You're not learning from me. You take all the credit all the time for everything.
I'm gonna have to become more land monkey.
Right? Like International Earth Cache Weekend. You're welcome.
You know, I think we have enough land monkey. I think you can just be Chris of the Northwest.
Oh, I'm so much better at being Chris of the Northwest. Hey,
Yes.
we want you guys to be part of the show. And we know you're going to be part of the show. You are the best audience in all of podcast land. Is that how we say it? So use the hashtag kids to add to tonight's chat. And of course, use the hashtag FATAS to bring up something you want to talk about, maybe not kid related, and you want to toss it into the after show. And we have one more. Now, Amy, I don't know if you know this, but people like to bake during this show. We're not exactly sure why, but we're leaning into it. So
That's a new one.
Yeah, use the hashtag podcast baking. There you go. You got that Octothorpe going there, Land Monkey. To tell us what you've got cooking tonight. Now, we also have some news. IHAM says one land monkey is very much enough. Okay. There are two land monkeys. No, just one. Please, just one. And if it's not kid related, how childish. Okay. You guys are on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's our audience.
We have some news from headquarters, and I don't know if this is going to make some people sad or people are going to go, didn't know that was still there.
Yes.
Right?
Some people do both.
Yeah, that's true. They are going to retire benchmarking sometime after November 1st, 2022, and before the end of the year. So that leaves November, December.
Yeah, kind of a 60-day-ish window there.
Yeah. We will remove benchmarking from the geocaching.com website, says HQ. We understand this is disappointing for those who enjoy benchmarking. However, benchmarks are only available in the United States and were added to the websites when geocaches were less available. Today, they're not in line with the global game geocaching has become. In addition, because benchmarks are not owned by community members, maintenance isn't possible like with geocaches. Many benchmark listings refer to marks that were removed or destroyed long ago, which makes for an uneven game experience. Therefore, we've decided to retire them from geocaching.com.
I think this makes sense. And it's probably arguably long overdue. When I first read the headline, I misread it as if they were retiring waymarking. They were going to archive the whole waymarking thing. I was like, whoa, that's pretty dramatic. But
no way marking.
Right? No more. But removing benchmarking from the geocaching.com site just kind of makes sense. And I think you can still do benchmarks as waymarks. So if you're still really into benchmarks, you can do them on the waymarking site. But yeah, you won't be able to. I did a few when I first started playing. Amy,
yes.
Have you done any benchmarks?
I've done one just because it happened to overlap with a Where I Go I did, and it noted in the Where I Go where the benchmark was. So I did one.
I did one and then did another and realized, you only get one counted on your overall geocaching totals. So I'm not going to put any more time into this because they don't count after that one.
But if you really want to go look for them, you still can. You just don't.
They're still, they should still be there, right? Yeah. I mean, the first one I found was down the hill from me, about 4 feet off the ground on the side of a building, which seems odd, right? So now if that building is torn down for some reason, that benchmark is gone.
Yeah. I don't even see them in my stats. I just
Now
pulled
you're
up
gonna
my
make me go-
geocaching.com stats. Well, as you were talking, out of curiosity, I thought, okay, well, are they even in here? Like, I know that they have kind of their own. They had like
Mhm.
their own little section at one point, but I can't. To be honest, I couldn't even find them right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the chat is pretty much concurring with that. Keith said, I've heard of it, never thought of doing it much. GSM times 2 says, those who love benchmarking should go to the USGS site and be useful.
there you go. That's
It'd be useful.
feedback to you sometimes too.
And Starcaches has only found 5 total, so he's not going to miss it.
Yeah, I can't remember how many I found, multiple, but not like dozens and dozens. I think we found it kind of cool, but it's a good point that it's only available in the US. Well, I mean, this is an international game, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
I've suddenly forgot what they have the same type of system in Canada. They don't call them benchmarks.
Yep.
They're, what are they called?
Geodesic markers or something like
Something like that.
Geodetic Survey of Canada markers, because that's way simpler to say.
More later.
That's a
Yes.
mouthful.
More is better.
Yeah.
And GSM times 2 is right. Some people do love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool, right, to find these things, because by the principle of what they are, the whole concept is kind of cool, that there's these brass
Mhm.
markers embedded in stone or concrete that are used to measure elevation and distance, and they're a central point. That distance was measured from. Like, if you understand the history behind it, it's quite fascinating, and it does tie into the game in a sense, but their day has come and gone.
Right. Brass caps is what they're called in some parts of Canada, says Bryline.
It
Well,
hasn't quite gone yet. It's going to come at some mysterious date.
That's
Yes,
right.
November 1st.
after November 1st.
So if you really, really like them, get out and find them quickly.
That's right. Well, they'll still be there. You can find them whenever.
Yeah, that's true.
Seabeck Tribe has found 13 benchmarks.
Well done.
There you go. I find them more difficult to find than geocaches
Mhm.
because the coordinates are not exact,
Mm.
and it's kind of like letterboxing, right? It's going to be on a large rock that's 3 steps down from this and 16 feet over from an oak tree.
I see
Okay,
that,
now we've gotten to a
UDAC
contest. UDAC has found 18.
Yeah.
Bryling's logged 36.
Wow.
So we're doubling each comment. So somebody has found
Yeah.
72. Put your
This is like a benchmark bingo. We're looking for 72 now.
All right.
That's enough. That's enough.
And
Okay.
scene.
And
Headquarters is getting rid of benchmarks. We're never talking about it again.
what's a benchmark? Moving on. Instead, we're talking about children.
Children.
Yeah.
It's kind of a benchmark in your life, children,
Kind of, yeah.
It can be.
Fishing with kids.
but they don't stay where you put them like a
No, they
benchmark.
don't.
No.
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 They move
They can
around.
be as hard to find as a benchmark
They
sometimes, though.
can be.
Yes, they can.
So, as I
Oh.
mentioned, we have ShadowDragn1 with us from the Geocache Adventures podcast, who has a lot of experience geocaching with children.
I do, because I have an 8-year-old that I drag out with me.
Ah,
And I think drag is the operative word there, isn't it?
It depends on the day.
it's kind of
Okay.
a shadow drag, but
It kind of is, yeah.
well, welcome.
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
people that aren't
I'm
familiar
already
with
having a
your-
blast.
Oh, well, we're glad you're here. I was going to say, if somebody out there is not familiar with you, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself and maybe talk about that podcast we heard about?
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm Amy, ShadowDragn1, and I am the host of the Geocache Adventures podcast. It is more of a interview style, me with typically 1, sometimes 2 guest interviewing. Cover a range of topics from geocaching with kids to not benchmarks, and apparently not going there anymore because that's no longer there, but travel bugs and anything geocaching related. If I can find it, I'll talk about it. Board games, books. If it's geocaching, I will try to find a way to put in the podcast at some point. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's.
I
haven't gone on quite as long as you guys have, but I'm working on it. So maybe one day I'll hit your level.
Well, You have a
it's low
podcast.
bar to cross.
It's a bar even a salamander can get over.
Well, they are good at climbing, though, to be fair.
That's true.
Oh, well, you do have your own fans because GSM times 2 says ShadowDragn1, sorry, is a great, well-prepared interviewer.
Yes.
Yes, he is a great interviewee. He's been on my podcast a few times. I'm always happy to hear from GSM time 2, and he's always a wealth of episode ideas. So I always love when he reaches out to me and say, hey, have you thought about this?
Yeah, we concur.
You should bring him on to talk about benchmarks before the end of the year when they mysteriously disappear.
There you go.
Or whoever
that's a
has
thought.
72 finds that we need to.
I haven't seen
still waiting for
72 in the
72
chat yet.
Somebody must
I'll
have.
keep waiting for it. It'll show up. All right. So
go ahead, Land Monkey.
no, it's your show, man. You do your thing. I was there was just a really long pause, so I thought I'll just start talking.
And there you are, still talking. But feel free to interrupt at any time. But Amy, we brought you on to talk about caching with kids, and we thought maybe we should start quite young, right? If they're infants. Now, I have heard, and I'm not sure why people do this, but people will bring their newborn, say 1 day old, out of the hospital, right? To go get that first geocache find. They've got their first find on their first day and they're ready to go. That may be a little extreme, but
Well, it
catching
may be.
infants can be done.
It can be. It can be. And geocaching with infants is pretty much like doing anything with infants. You pack up half the house and you just go out there and you get it done.
You're not traveling light. That's true.
You are not. You've got stroller, car seat. If you're going anywhere, you should have the car seat, diaper bag, and then you've got your geocaching kit on top of it. So you probably got more than your normal outing, but it can be done. But those infants, I mean, especially fresh from the hospital, anything that they get exposed to, it's all new to them. So you've really got to be careful taking them out anywhere because sun, wind, even grass or something, they can break out into a rash or get hives or something. So you really have to be extra cautious just taking them anywhere in general. So really, if you have a newborn, anything you're going to do to take them out anywhere in the world applies to taking them out geocaching too.
Well, I hear where you're going. I think so. When we had our kids, we weren't geocaching when they were infants. We were backpacking actively though, and we just took them with us. And they got really good at eating dirt and doing all the things. I being a little flippant, but absolutely, we had all the appropriate gear, and we certainly had to carry a lot more once we were taking infants and then toddlers with us. But I think that was their life. So it was, this is how things roll. And so I think there's definitely merit in taking infants out, whether it's geocaching or just hiking or whatever, and getting, obviously, as Amy said, taking the appropriate precautions to make sure your child is safe, but not sheltering them.
Absolutely. And just like anybody, an infant gets tired of the same surroundings all the time. So just going outside and the different sounds and sights, it can be really stimulating and engaging for them and really good for them and beneficial. And if you get to geocache along the way, I don't see any negative side to that.
There you go.
Very little downside. There you go.
But you mentioned weather. I remember one long trip with my infant daughter, and we're driving in the car, right? Going from Tacoma to the Tri-Cities, or the other way around. And there was a period of time where, the sun was just baking on her. And we're like, oh, we're not prepared for this. We could take a blanket and put it over the car seat and do other things. But, it was one of these things like, we've got to keep the sun off our child. I didn't think that was going to be a big problem. Yeah. So having the right gear for whatever adventure, even if it's traveling in the car, is really important.
And anytime you have an infant, it is an adventure of some kind for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we can all vouch for that.
Even just going to the grocery store turns into an adventure with an infant. So
that's right. Everybody, if one of those little feet pop out of a blanket, everybody's got to come up and squeeze it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that brings up a thought. Now, one key part of geocaching is there's obviously the going out and finding caches, but there's also a social aspect to the game. Amy, what are your thoughts about taking an infant or toddler to a geocaching event?
I don't see any downside to it as long as it's an appropriate event, per se. If you're doing a CETO along a highway, probably not a great place to take an infant or a toddler.
Yeah.
But, if it's just a meet and greet at a park and people are getting together, what's the harm in taking it there? If you're ever in doubt, you can always message whoever is putting on the event and check with them and make sure it's okay. Same thing with pets too. If you're not sure about taking a pet to an event, check with whoever's hosting it and make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
And infants and pets and children and pets are sometimes interchangeable on what you have to do. Yep. So
there are some commonalities there. Yeah. Briarling says he held an event once where a newborn stopped by to log their first find. And that kind of made me, I was thinking about this anyway. If you're taking your infant out with you, your toddler out with you, they're probably not really ready to sign logs themselves. But do you just include them in your log, or do you create them their own geocaching account before they're even really ready to log in anywhere and log them for them? So by the time they hit elementary school, they've got 1,000 finds or something. I don't know.
Well, that's one of those things. Everybody's going to have a different say on what they think is right, of course. So really, you just need to do what you think is the best for you. For me, when I had my son with me, I would just always include in my log that he was geocaching with me. And when he asked for his own account at 7, I think about a year or so ago, that's when I set him up with an account. And he can sign his own name and everything. But like you said, some people want to do that with an infant. And I think part of that is it's sort of for them a record of their geocaching adventures with their infant.
Yeah.
Like some people just stamp family photos. You log a geocache, add a photo or something about it. And it's a record to when you were little, we went and we did all this.
Yeah. Right.
I think it really depends on why you're doing it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it from that angle. And I think if you're going to do that angle of this is sort of a way of keeping track of all the places we went with the infant, maybe even add to that, giving them a personal trackable to dip in every cache they find, because then you'd actually get the little map of like, oh, look at this.
Yeah. And I have heard of some people that do that. There is GeoAngie on Instagram and has a blog. She has a trackable for each of her kids, and when they go geocaching with her, they drip their trackable in the geocache, and then it creates that map and that record, like you were saying.
And you could Sharpie the number right on their face so that the other cachers could also claim
their trackable number.
Yeah. It'll wear off eventually.
Yeah.
Baby wipes are really good at taking things off. Yeah.
You'd be amazed at what a baby wipe can take off.
So very true. Now, one of the things to consider, though, is a schedule for an infant, right? They have a nap time, a feeding time, that it's important to keep them on that schedule, bedtime. So you don't want to, maybe you don't want to keep them up for a 9 o'clock podcast, but you should, in my opinion.
Well, you could, but like anything with infants, sometimes you just have to hope your kids can grow up to learn to be flexible with schedules, because anything in life, you're not always going to hit we're not always going to feed exactly every 4 hours in between or whatever. You just got to feed the kid when they're hungry, and you got to be prepared to do that wherever you're at. And if the baby needs nap time, maybe you've got to stop geocaching early and go do nap time, or you've got to leave the wedding reception and go walk the kid and put it to sleep or something. It's just anything in life. You have to learn to accommodate your infant's needs. And that's just a part of parenting, no matter what you're doing with them. So you figure that out and you make it work.
Fair enough.
That's exactly right. Now, we've talked about infants. We've included toddlers a bit into this. Let's talk about toddlers specifically, especially, when they're getting to learn to walk on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And, that can be a challenge out in the woods. That can be a challenge at an event or a roadside CETO.
Yeah, for sure. At a roadside CETO, for sure. Well, so with toddlers, my dad always liked to say, kids only walk for about a week or two, and then they learn to run, and then you're really in trouble. And he was right. When I had my son, that was pretty much right. Once he learned to run, I can move so much faster, and it's amazing how fast they can just dodge away from you. And, I know it's controversial for some people, but those, for lack of a better word, child leashes, like the little backpack that straps to them with the fun little animal tail, those are lifesavers. Really, for any place you go, it's a lifesaver, because it takes half a second to get distracted and that kid run off.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's busy place in the woods. Baby stays in car seat, stays in stroller. It stays more where you put it. Toddlers, not so much. Yeah. So it can definitely be challenging to take them geocaching. And if you can do that with, say, have more adults than toddlers, that's beneficial, because you have more people looking for the geocache, but you also have more eyes staying on that child. Now, that's not always possible. So you just kind of have to, again, you have to know your kid. You have to know how much they're willing to tolerate. Mm-hmm. You have to, especially when they get to, I want to help. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing it, and they, for the life of them, cannot find it right in front of them. And it may drive you absolutely crazy just trying to let them find it. For younger kids, that's a thing. And, sometimes you learn to kind of guide them to it, because you want them to have fun too. And when they get to discover it, it is amazing for them. But as a parent, it can drive you absolutely up the wall. So it's great to take kids geocaching, but then it's also great to just geocache yourself or with other adults when you can too. So you get that balance for yourself as well.
That's some good advice. And I think just in general, patience with toddlers is kind of key.
It's hard. Like, seriously, if you've ever heard that people say it's like herding cats, it is. Herding toddlers is like herding cats, and herding cats might be easier on some days, to be honest with you. It is. It can be utter chaos. It can be wonderful and fun and amazing, but it can be utter chaos. And when you're trying to find, especially say, a micro or nano geocache, it's a lot harder. So you kind of have to judge, okay, I've got a 2-year-old with me. Maybe I don't go do this difficulty 5 geocache today. Maybe I go get this 1.5 or this 2. Mm-hmm. So and the terrain as well. It's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't take this giant bushwhacking path to go find this geocache when I've got a 3-year-old trying to trudge behind me. So you just really have to keep their limitations and their abilities in mind, which means, you get those harder ones on a day when you get to be by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Or have more help.
Or have a lot more help. Yeah. Have somebody that can haul the kid through the woods for you.
or distract the child as you're allowed to go and go find.
Yes.
It seems like this is a little, you have great advice, but you also have the voice of experience. I can tell. This is something that has happened.
It is. What's great is, so my husband is a Muggle, he's not big, and he's tried it with me. He's not big into it with me. But if we go, sometimes I can get him to go out with me and our kid, so he can kind of distract the kid more and keep an eye on him more while I get to do the geocache.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes muggles can be your friends.
It can be beneficial, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I just had a great thought, and it escaped me just like that. Oh, sometimes parking grabs are your friends, right?
They can.
That's the easier one to go get quickly. When your child may be getting a little bit fussy, you can leave them in the car while you just step out the door, grab it, and come back.
Yeah.
But you also have to watch, because if they're trying to help you find that parking grab, then you've got a toddler, a geocache, and moving vehicles around you. So
Yes.
that can add a whole new level of stress. If you say, if you're new to geocaching and you don't know what an LPC is, I mean, everybody's first LPC, it's like the light bulb goes on when you realize the thing lifts up, and how long it takes to figure that out can be 20 plus minutes. And try adding a toddler or a young school age child to that. And
I was going to say
it adds an interesting level of difficulty to whatever you're doing.
It would. I was going to say, to Chris's point of doing parking grabs and just jumping out of the car, don't leave the keys in the car with the kid, or, father's going to take off with your Capri, and then
Could be.
Now you've got a heck
Or
of a
lock
walk.
doors, right?
Or lock you out, yeah.
Yeah, lock you out. It doesn't take them long to figure out buttons, but it'll take them forever to figure out how to unlock the car hitting the same button. So
Now, Land Monkey mentioned taking his kids hiking, having them eat dirt and all, and that's one, challenge, shall we say. But caching in urban environments, I'd rather have them eat nice, clean dirt out on the hiking trail than some of the stuff we come across.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So that's also something to keep in mind, because kids, things wind up in their mouth.
they do. And kids get sticky. You don't have to be around anything sticky, and they're sticky. And I mean, people are all about hand sanitizer. Screw the hand sanitizer, get the wipes, because you can wipe off the stickiness off of them. And the wipes are amazing just for that. Yes, the wipes are great. Forget hand sanitizer, get the wipes, baby wipes, hand wipes. They will get sticky somehow. My son has come from the playground with stuff in his hair, and I'm like, I didn't take my eyes off of you. What did you even get in your hair?
Yeah.
It happens. Kids are dirt magnets, and they should be able to go out and get dirty and have fun. But then it's like, you're sticky and I have to touch you, so let's wipe you off a little bit so I don't have to get sticky on everything. So
It's so true. Seebeck Tribe says,
Sorry.
forget the wipes, get the hose. There you go.
Well, the hose only works if you're by a hose. I mean, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and they're covered in tree sap, the hose doesn't work so well
Wipes are
because
more
there's no
portable.
hose. So
Pressure washer.
That was my suggestion, was the pressure washer. Yeah.
you got to watch the settings when you use the pressure washer. Too much, and you just knock them right over.
Toughens them up.
Lean them against the wall.
Very much
It's
Darth
easier.
Maul to,
Okay, so Seabeck Tribe has a couple of comments I want to read here. The kids were on our account. When they got older and they could take care of their own logging, they got their own account. Yes, I did help them log, but they had to do it. And she says, yes, I loved leashes for my kids. It gave them their freedom, but I had control of where they go.
yeah.
Yes. I was a leash child. I feel like I turned out okay. I can hold down a job and be a productive member of society in some ways. People think I'm a little weird, but that's probably for other reasons. So, child leashes, they're awesome.
We're making no judgments here tonight.
No judgments. Oh, there are judgments. We're just not paying attention to them.
Oh, nice. So now we go on to a little older, say school age.
So this is where it gets really fun. This is kind of where I'm at, the younger school age, and you can really get them more involved in it. And it goes anywhere from getting them involved in making swag, letting them help pick out which geocaches you're going to go get, even getting to start letting them navigate and learn how to use the GPS and let them learn how to use the app on your phone under supervision. Because the biggest struggle we have with kids these days is electronics are everywhere.
Yeah.
They get it at school. They get it at home. It's ingrained in life. And it's really hard to get them off of it and outside and doing other things. But when you can take them geocaching, you can let them have a bit of that technology while getting out of the house and getting outside and be more active. And Adventure Labs, even if you've got a bit older kid that is reading pretty well, let them read, okay, what do we have to do at this Adventure Lab? What are we looking for? And you can engage them that way. So it's definitely a very different level of geocaching with school-age kids. And then their ages of elementary school and their abilities range so much from kindergarten to 5th, 6th grade and older. It's amazing how you can watch them grow in anything. And geocaching's no different that way.
That's exactly right. And getting them involved in some of the easier puzzles,
Yes.
when they're of an appropriate age, that, hey, let's look at this together. What if we did this? And teach them this way. My kids, of course, I think all kids love swag, right?
Yes.
I can go there and get. So, there was a while where I carried quite a large plastic bag in my trunk full of trade items, because as I'm out and about, they would find one, maybe two items, and that's it. That's all you can trade is two. To trade something in the cache for. And as we're driving along, I'm going to stop and get a geocache. What size is it, Dad? Does it have stuff in it?
Yes, this is the age where size for geocaches really matter, because a lot of kids are, they're going to lose interest really quick if you're just getting micros all the time. If you can get regulars or larges, it's amazing. And there's several smalls can contain small swag items and stuff. So when you have younger kids and they're old enough to be interested in trading swag, avoid the micros. Make sure you're checking recent activities. If there's a bunch of DNFs, skip it for the day. Go after that challenge on a different day without them, because it does not take them long to completely lose interest because they're not having fun. And
another thing is to look at the logs and see if there's water in the container, right? Oh, hey, the swag is wet. You know what? Let's not even try that one, because there's nothing more disappointing. And there's stuff in here, but it's moldy.
Yeah. And attributes, because if people are using the attributes and putting that kid-friendly attribute on there, that's a great cache to go take your younger kid to, and following the favorite point. Because even if it's a smaller geocache, if it's at an awesome location, they're going to be entertained.
So this is interesting. You brought up the child-friendly attribute. What do you think qualifies a cache to have the child-friendly attribute? Because I'm not really sure what I would like. I usually think a larger cache, not really hidden that difficult, so like something a child could find. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, what qualifies as child-friendly?
That's one of those, the attributes can be so helpful, but some of them can be so ambiguous and really left to interpretation. And to me, when I'm looking, I see child-friendly. To me, that means it's the area the geocache is at is safe to take my child to, for one. And that's probably one of the most important things. A lot of times, it's a larger size or maybe a really interesting container. And they tend to have the lower DT combinations from what I have seen, at least.
Cool. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
that
your
makes
thoughts
sense.
on that.
You're welcome.
That is a good thing, knowing the lower DT, especially terrain, right?
Yeah.
Difficulty, at least we could go out and find it, but having to carry the toddler or the school age child back after a hike that was a little more strenuous and you thought that can be strenuous on you in the end.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, that's always an attribute that's open to interpretation, and somebody may interpret it differently than you do, and you may get there and it's not quite what you expected. So definitely checking the size and the DT combo and everything else in conjunction with the attributes is really important, because it all kind of adds up together as to what you're actually looking for and what is actually going to work for you and your child at the time.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We've got.
Some good
Oh,
comments
I thought it was Komakino. It's gas station tuna. My daughter has been doing this since she was 8, and now she's 14 and things have changed. She's less, I want to go, and more, do I really have to go? Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just geocaching. They do that too.
That's teenagers. You know, I haven't hit that stage yet, but from what I'm told, teenagers get into that whole, I'm a teenager and I want to just what I want to do. And I just want to talk to my friends, and I'm not interested in you and all the things you want to go do anymore. And I'm going to go sit in my room on my computer or my phone and just do my thing. And I think that's a struggle parents are, you know, I'm not looking forward to the teenage years. My son's still at the cute, I want to do things with you age.
Right.
But it's a struggle for anything with teenagers. And, you know, if you force it, they're going to hold it against you and they're going to hate it more and want to do it even less. But if you can find a compromise of, hey, let's go do this geocache and then we'll go do this thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
Then it's a trade-off. And you're still getting to spend time with them doing something that you enjoy, but they're getting something that they want out of it as well.
Right. I've taken my kids to a park, you know. Hey, before we play on the playground, let me go over just into this tree line. Come with me. We'll find the geocache. Then you can play at the park.
Yeah, that's a great one with younger kids. If you can find a geocache near a park that you can grab and then take them to play, or even library caches with school age kids, because a lot of libraries have, you know, you go to the children's section and they've got computers and toys and games and different things, and then check out a library book or two while you're at it and give them something else to keep them off of screen for a while with reading if you can.
You can do that?
I know, right?
And hey,
most of the time the reading's done on the screen now too, so
there you go. I say, let's face it, if you're looking for a geocache near a park or a playground, you're going to be way better off to have little kids with you anyways. You won't look nearly as creepy.
Yeah.
that's true. Or a dog if you're at a park, because a lot of the parks have a pass for walking.
Yeah. Great tip from GSM times 2. He says, so one thing I learned, quit before they're ready to quit. So they'll be excited to go next time.
Yes, that's a great one.
Really great words of wisdom there.
Leave them wanting more.
Yep.
If they're exhausted, you've gone too long. You want them to fall asleep and take a nap on the car ride home, but you don't want them to realize how tired they are before they get back to the car.
I think IHAM's comment is along the same vein. He said, the year we did our 365 plus day streak, our son was in middle school and got burned out, even though he didn't go with us every day. So,
yeah, I could see that. Burnout is a struggle. And those challenges like that, I think some people love them. I am not a streak person. It's too much for me to try to juggle everything else, make sure I get that one. And it starts to feel like work and it's not enjoyable anymore.
right.
I'm not built for streaking either. We'll just leave it at that. J-Car says bribery. Ice cream always worked for a few caches.
For a few.
And Gas Station Tuna says, oh yeah, Dunkin' Donuts or ice cream smoothies. Or ice cream smooth things out. She's big on boba these days. So find what your child's currency is and use that.
Yes.
She's into bounty hunters. Yeah. That's what I heard into that.
The Mandalorian, it's all, you know,
Sure.
very popular now.
Yes. Caching with the child.
This is the way.
Sure.
This is the way. Yeah.
GSM times 2 said I got burned out with streaking at 38. Do you think that was age or number of caches?
I
Yes.
think age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going there.
It says, never again on the street.
Just
So
saying
there
no
you
to
go.
streaking.
Keith says, I became a geocacher when I was a teenager. Some kids are different.
They are. Every kid's different in everything. And I mean, literally everything. Bike riding, geocaching, video games. Every kid has a different preference. And just remembering that trying to push them into something is usually going to backfire on you in some way at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, yes.
Yes, always. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So maybe if you can find something that they like about it, like if they like puzzle solving, your teens like puzzle solving, maybe they can help you solve the puzzle caches and then you can go get them without them if they don't want to go. So there are ways that you can try to get them engaged without forcing them to go out and do it.
Exactly. And they could do the puzzle solving and never go out and find it. They could just enjoy that part of it. So.
Or creating caches. That's another thing.
Exactly.
If you have a kid that's really creative and likes to build things, have them help you build a geocache.
Mm-hmm. Or whatever your signature swag is. You mentioned that earlier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they're involved and they're doing something with you that's for geocaching without forcing them to go out and geocache. And then they might be interested in going out and doing more after that.
Yeah. And tie something into their interest. Some kids, maybe they're really into science and, well, geology. Take them earth caches.
Caches.
I hear there's a little
Earth
bit
cache.
of earth caches and stuff around.
You could work in dinosaurs to earth caches.
Sure.
Or,
the right one.
Yeah.
Well, you can, because there's plenty of fossil-based earth
Yeah.
caches, and depending where you are, there's probably some. And or if you're going on a trip somewhere, do a little bit of research ahead of time, and especially at the preteen and very early teen age range, that's perfect time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or another thing you can do, especially at that older age, is, hey, why don't you see if one of your friends wants to go along with us?
Yeah.
They like to do things more with their friends than they like to do with us. So if they can take a buddy or two along, and then at that age, you don't have to have eyes on them so much as a toddler, in theory.
Actually,
Maybe
probably
for different
more
reasons.
so when they have friends with them.
Yeah, it
Because
depends.
Now you got two minds conspiring against you.
That's true. That's true. But as long as you keep a hold of the car keys, they need you to get home. So that's
True.
very important. Do
Right.
not let them hold the keys for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe trade in your car in a school bus and then have them invite 30 or 40 of their friends.
Ooh.
No, don't do
Oof, that's...
that. Don't do that.
Have you seen school outings? No, I don't want to be involved
Yeah,
in
I'll
that.
pass on that.
Yes, I've chaperoned middle school trips. I know all about that.
Kitty Quest brings up a good point. If I come across a cache that's loaded with good swag, especially good for kids, I make a point of mentioning that in my log so cachers with kids can see that when they're trying to decide where to go.
Very helpful.
That is very helpful.
Yeah,
And
that is really nice.
I had a cacher tell me once what he will do is go out caches ahead of time, like the day or two before he takes his kids, make sure it's there. And if it's low on swag, tops it off.
Load it up.
Now, not everybody is able to do that every time.
Sure.
I did that once and I took my son back a couple days later and just hearing him go, oh, there's so much cool stuff in here. It was totally worth it. But I'm not usually often able to get away from him long enough to go do that and then take him back a day or two later. You get so busy in life with work and school and sports and everything else. But if you can do it, the reaction that you can get from it is totally worth it.
That's some serious time commitment to go.
It is. It's serious time commitment.
Yeah.
And I did it once and it was awesome, but it was just like, I want you to have a good time and this was fun, but maybe I'll just message the last couple people that found it next time ahead of time and, see what was going on with it. Because Yeah.
I like my kids. I don't like my kids that much.
Find a fellow cacher who hasn't found it at an event, give them a big bag of swag and say, okay, let me know when you find this one and put it there and I'll follow in your footsteps.
There you go.
There you go. That's a thought.
That's a lot of work as well. That takes planning.
You're less likely to DNF.
That's true.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. GSM times 2 says we have 2 kids who get their parents to take them geocaching. Good parents.
Good.
And I've seen that. Right? I've been to events and been to geo tours or geocoin challenges where teenagers have made the cache and hidden it on the geo tour, and their parents are, the chauffeur. They're driving them around to do this because this is what they're teenagers into, and I'm all for that. I think that's great. Komakino, who has the YouTube channel of Komakino and the Kid, right? The Kids will still join me on occasional geocache outing. The key thing to do is ask a day or two beforehand. This way it gives them time to plan it out. She likes to attend events. And Gas Station Tuna agrees with that. Events. Yes, she loves events. UDEC says, we love to see Gas Station Tuna's daughters at events.
I like GSMX times 2 comment. That's a thought. Trying to get them to do it, though, might be a different story.
Like the Muggle husband would be the person to prepare the geocache ahead of time for your son?
Yeah, I like the thought.
Yeah. There might be some bribery involved in that.
Yeah, that's a different type of bribery that's usually more expensive and harder to do. So,
and requires licenses for some things. Yeah. Anyway, he's going to get a boat or an ATV or something.
Much more expensive than Well, and there are times where you go get a cache and there's no swag and the kid's disappointed. So I let him pick something out of my swag, and then I always try to carry extra so I can refill a container and leave extra so the next kid doesn't have to be disappointed.
Right. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. Just, I look at it and go, look, there's swag in this one. Great. Somebody's going to be happy. But not for me. I'll look at it, and, ask what's in. Do you want this plastic octopus?
We'll go for right, boy.
Only if it's a Pacific Northwest tree octopus.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on where you put it. So I think we've talked a lot about that. I mean, there are great skills to learn from geocaching for school age to teenage children. I mean, puzzle solving, map reading, being able to read a map, right? That's not a skill a lot of kids have these days, right? No. Yeah. Siri tells me to go up here and turn left.
Right.
What street is it? I don't know. My stupid phone just went off. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. What street are on? What street are we on? And what direction are we heading? Are we going north, south? I don't know. I was told to turn left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me how to get home from where we were at? Can you tell me where did we leave the car from where we left? And
that's a good thing.
And what's my phone number? And saying dad on your phone doesn't count.
Yeah, we've practiced that one to make sure, anything like that. Practice the phone number, the address. It's all just basic stuff, but not everybody does it anymore because you have the smartphone and it's so easy to just hit a button or tell. I won't, if I say her name, will she go off on your phone if I say it?
Nope. No,
okay, so it's Siri to call whoever or tell Alexa to call whoever. And, I can't even remember half the phone numbers in my phone at this point. Right. I mean, really, I can think of 3 offhand that I know, mine, my husband's, and my mom's by heart. That's probably it anymore. So, yeah, just trying to remember to teach your kids those basic things because we tend to forget because we're so used to following Google Maps or the Garmin or whatever app is driving you to wherever, or set a pin because I'm not going to remember where I parked. We kind of sometimes forget those skills that we grew up with that, technology allows us to not have to worry about anymore. And we kind of sometimes forget to teach our children how to survive if their phone battery dies or if they're in an area without reception.
And I think we're
Sorry.
Thank you. So I think maybe that, and we probably don't have time to get into it tonight, but no, we don't because we're at 10. It leads into another important topic. If you are going to be taking a kid, especially once they're tweens and older, if you're going to be taking them out and geocaching, obviously you're going to keep them close. Obviously you're going to do your best to keep an eye on them, but things happen. And I think it's really important to teach them the Hug a Tree program as well, right? So that they understand if they do get separated, what do you do? And, that's one of the advantages for those who can bring their kids to, guides or scouts or cubs and such. And so they get a little bit more of that. They get, obviously orienteering and some of the other things that are taught. But even if you don't do any of that, I would say an important thing to do is even just the online version of teaching the Hug a Tree program.
Mm-hmm. We
this is my one serious moment for the entire podcast. That's it. We're done.
Thank you. That was worth it. We always taught our kids that if you got separated from us, no matter where you were, sit down. Just sit, don't try to go, I think maybe they went in here or went there. Just sit down.
Stay where you're at.
In the middle of the mall, sit. And people are going to go, do you need help? That's unusual, right? And then you realize they're not with you and you backtrack because that's the first thing you're going to do. And I don't know if we ever had to do it, but that's what we taught them.
It's a good thing to teach them. It really is. Just, basic safety. We talk to them about don't talk to strangers, don't go off with this person, don't do that. But are you remembering to teach them if we're at the playground and you run off into the trees and you get lost, what do you do? Because that's not something we always think about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Amy, we could go on another hour.
We could.
I think we could. Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time. We know it's late for you, so thank you for your sacrifice.
Thank you for having me on here. It has been a blast. You guys are a hoot. It has been fun.
We've been called a hoot. Hey, folks,
I may even go as far to say a hoot and a half.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I want to know which one's the half, but we can discuss that after the podcast.
I'll let you guys debate that amongst yourselves.
Okay.
That means one of us is a hoot, one of us is half a hoot, and the other one doesn't even count.
Or just we're all three halves.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go.
That's even better.
There's the solution.
Thank you for that socialistic solution. Hey, folks, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Yes, absolutely. We want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks with a Z and Gold Country Geotourism. They got an app. Our corporate Denali level sponsors, Land Sharks, LandSharkz.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and they're shipping those orders dailies. They're shipping orders and dailies. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com or on Facebook, or download the app like cool people in the chat did already.
Yeah.
All right.
Those cool people.
And of course, we want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters, Land Sharks, Gold Country Geo Tour, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cashly, the geocaching app. Folks, if you want to know more about supporting this show, well, why don't you head on over and click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com a website.
Like Skyhawker did.
And Kennel Barb.
And Kid Vegas 19.
Kitty West.
Sprouter.
Telling us all the great things to do with kids, Seabeck Tribe.
You Talks to Rocks.
Fairwood West.
Geo Nav Pro.
Alarobrick.
Just finding our way.
Team Noltex.
How about you, Dak?
How about in the chat, very active, GSM times 2.
And good friend of the podcast, Genies.
And our newest, the Arnett family. The Arnott family.
Are not.
R2.
Okay. How about MC3 Cats?
Indeed. And how about Green Words?
And Flagman.
Trexzer.
And if you're a spilly drinker, you've got Wet Coaster.
Logwork.
Antaeus.
J-Car.
Ackerdoc.
Gas Station Tuna.
Subawimmerk.
Kev MacD.
Doramore.
Our favorite countdown name, Ari 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nerve.
Boomer 365.
B. Pendragon.
Peach of Washington.
Sega Hove.
Our favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
CRS 98.
Korsgat.
Camp Clan.
Limax.
Tick Magnet.
Also contributing from the chat tonight, it's Keats 94.
And Donners. Hey,
All right.
that was it. We
That
stare
was
at Donners for a while.
Stare at Donners. Yeah, it's a thing. I don't even know if she's still staring back. I haven't heard from her for a while. But we appreciate her, and we appreciate all the patrons, and appreciate everybody in the chat, and we appreciate Amy, ShadowDragn1, for joining us
Thank you.
tonight. Amy, if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Well, if you go to geocacheadventures.org, I got all the contact information there. There's a Facebook, there's a Instagram. I think there's a LinkedIn still. Does that still count as anything?
Oh,
You're trying to get a job, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a email listed there as well. And I love to hear from people, and any antidotes or anything you want to hear, or maybe something I completely messed up on, you can correct me and let me know.
Polite.
Oh, you just opened Pandora's box there.
I did. I actually am surprised it hasn't happened yet, to be honest with you. I'm just waiting for it to.
All right, that's great. So yeah, people head over and drop her a note.
Yes. And thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cashingnw.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe. Give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fabulous, fast, fantastic 5-star review. You can call 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or help us with our kids any time of the day or night. No, that kind of sounds creepy. Don't do that last part.
Yeah, that sounds a little creepy.
Yeah, of course, you can email us at feedback@cashingnw.com. Join us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and even livelier chat. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2022 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
the after show. I think we have some. I know we have. Oh, look, we have podcast baking.
Ooh.
It was actually done earlier, says Kitty Quest, but we'll be enjoying home-baked sweet potato biscuits while watching the show tonight.
Oh, that's different. Yeah.
Wow. Seebeck Tribe is doing caramel apple cookies.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah. How come we always go, yum? Somebody's like,
Everybody's always
No.
baking
Yeah.
yummy things during the
I know, exactly. Oh, GSM times 2 says the geowoodstock.com website is now pointing to Geo Woodstock X1X
19.
in Owensboro, Kentucky. Please log your will attend.
Indeed.
Is-
Yeah. If you
Is
think
that kind
you're-
of sad for you, Land Monkey?
No, I am super excited for the Owensboro folks. It's their turn. They have waited very patiently, a very long time to have their turn, and they're going to have a fantastic Geo Woodstock in a beautiful part of the world, and it's going to be really different. I mean, that's one of the best things about Geo Woodstock is everywhere it travels, there's a different feel, there's a different team putting it on, there's a different flavor, different community. It's fantastic. I'm hoping I'll get the opportunity to go. I don't know yet. So, but yeah, I would definitely agree. If you think you're possibly going to go, definitely log your will attend.
There you go. Gas Station Tuna asks a question. Is making fudge considered hashtag podcast baking? Yes, and we need some.
You can send it to the hosts. We will gladly promote.
We'll critique it live on the air if you'd like.
Absolutely. Yes, we will.
Samples or it didn't happen.
Oh, we've got a Keats 94 new episode coming up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. Journey to Pitt Meadows videos going live at 5 a.m. in a new segment called 2 Minute Tuesday. Uploading twice a week now. Well, congratulations.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
At that 5 a.m., I was expecting a 10 a.m. upload. So I have no idea what's going on anymore on these YouTube things. I'm completely lost. Twice a week, I have to watch it to be sure.
Let me just tell you this much. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Seabeck Tribe says, last weekend I got to help Prying Pandora start her retirement by helping her with a 5-5.
Nice.
Good way to start retirement.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And what a great couple of people to be caching with, Seabeck Tribe and Prying Pandora. That would have been a hoot.
Yeah.
And a half.
Hoot and a half. There you go. You can't just throw a hoot and a half around. A hoot maybe, but a hoot and a half is something different.
Well, what if Horton hears it? There you go. Thank you, Komokino. There you go.
Speaking of Komokino and talking about video work, he says, Komokino
We hire a
says,
bunch of half hoots, aren't we?
always fixing it in post.
Oh, don't you know?
All right.
Well, I think that's it. We have some great questions coming in on the emails. I know you don't say the emails. That I want to get to, but we've had such great topics. So, Greenwords, you've got a great question, and I want to talk about it soon.
Ooh,
I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah, it's about
Cliffhanger.
disabled caches.
Always leave them wanting more, they say.
That's right. And folks, thanks for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.